Fine, so developing an automated market making strategy with RL or however else you want to do it. It's important then that one should be able to simulate how the market reacts to the actions of the market maker. So ultimately, when we're going to be doing our possibly just a replay of data or some other more complicated way to simulate the market, what we'd like to happen is when we do something, our simulator reacts in a way that's realistic. The problem is if you're just replaying historical data, almost by definition that can't happen because the historical data didn't know what you're doing as this simulated agent in your simulator 5 months later or 2 years later when you're just replaying that historical data. And that's going to be one of the main issues we discuss when we discuss the different possible ways to create a reinforcement learning environment. So we need some form of simulated environment, and it's particularly crucial with reinforcement learning. If you were going to handcraft your market making strategy, you'd use intuition for what might work, and actually the kind of weakness of your simulator may never be as much of an issue as if you let loose reinforcement learning on it, which will actually exploit weaknesses in the environment. I mean, I have numerous experiences where you get absolutely beautiful equity curves, so that's the profit and loss over time. And of course, it's a bug, and the reinforcement learning has very effectively found some weakness in your simulator or some problem in your data cleaning or whatever. So this is a real issue, and we'll actually see for one of the approaches to making a reinforcement learning environment, a very cool one, using conditional generative models, which many of you I'm sure will have heard of, in particular in the context of maybe generating faces that don't really exist. That's one of the current problems with those approaches. They're not yet robust. They can easily be exploited, and we'll come back to that shortly. Okay, so that's where we're at. We're going to discuss 3 main types of environment with a very small comment on a 4th one that's probably even further away from feasible than conditional generative models. So when I say environment, I just want to be clear that I'm talking about exactly the environment from this RL 101 picture that you've all probably seen quite a few times by now. We're really literally talking about designing the environment within which our reinforcement learning agent is going to act, get a reward, and change the state of that environment. So the reinforcement learning problem is, how should an agent take actions in an environment so as to maximize some notion of reward? And I want to be very explicit that when DeepMind does Atari or something, the environment's kind of already there. They still have a big challenge to design algorithms that work well and produce good agents, but we have a whole extra challenge when you're doing trading strategy development. You actually have to do your testing and evaluation effectively, and even creating an environment is part of the challenge that you face.